I'd like to call to order the regular session of the Newport Beach City Council, December 13th, 2016. Madam Clerk.
The record will reflect that all members of council are present.
And I'm delighted to welcome the Newport Elementary School Brownie Troop 4588, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If we'd all please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, ladies. We are going to have our invocation when we come back after our recess. Oh, we want to take a picture. Excuse me. Ladies, stay there. We're going to do a picture. All right. As I mentioned, we'll do our invocation when we reconvene after our recess at 7 p.m. before our special activities this evening. Our first item is part one of presentations. We have a presentation of the Digital Cities Award. Mr. Rob Houston, would you like to talk about this award?
Sure. Actually, I'll defer to start with some representatives from the Digital Cities Community Group. Katie and Richard, and they're going to share what the award's about and present it to you.
Very good.
Testing. Okay.
So we have Ms. Katie Berg and Richard Chu.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us. On behalf of the Center for Digital Government and Digital Communities, the Center's local government program, we would like to extend our congratulations to you for your top 10 ranking in the 2016 Digital Cities Survey. The Center for Digital Government, based in Folsom, California, is a national research and advisory institute on information technology policies and best practices in state and local government. The center is a division of eRepublik, a national publishing, event, and research company. Government Technology, Governing, and Public CIO are three of their best-known publications.
The National Survey, in its 15th anniversary year, recognizes the successful digital achievements of cities which improve life both for government employees and for citizens. Top 10 cities provide the best examples of how information and communication technology are used to support and provide public service. The City of Newport Beach Information Technology Strategic Plan sets the bar high for continued excellent customer service while increasing efficiencies, as well as an increased focus on data transparency. Competition is fierce, so well done on making the top 10, and thank you for your wonderful information technology services that you're providing for your constituents.
Well, thank you. And not only did the city reach the top 10, we're number 6. Is that right?
Correct.
And then we are the only city from California to make the top 10. So we are very proud. So thank you. Would you like me to come down? Or?
Sure. Just one point
right.
I'll add. I wanted to thank personally the past and current city council members for supporting and prioritizing technology, both investment and innovation. It's been great to have that support. It's not always easy to know in the world of IT where you stand, because if you're in the forefront of your industry, because we always get news reports of flying cars or self-driving cars or great apps or laser holograms. And so where are we as in our industry? So having a national level assessment has been very helpful, and I think it's affirmation that our 5-year plans really paid off and made us a leader in our industry. So I also want to say thank you to the city manager, department heads, and staff for being supportive of all of the new technology we brought to them and being willing to adapt to new ways of operating, because that can be tough. And I also, last and not least, though, I wanted to say none of the technology works without top-level staff. And the staff we have on board are an amazing team of professionals that we have working for us. The secret for any success is to have smart people and get out of their way. And we have smart people, I think, that are the best in the business. They understand both our technology and the unique needs of our community and our staff. They're the best at finding creative, innovative ways to make our city both smarter and faster. And I just feel for the folks in IT, they're always behind the scenes. So I thought this was an opportunity that we could recognize them, have the folks come up forward, and we'll take a picture with you, Mayor, if that's all
Sure,
right, and receive
absolutely.
the award.
Well, absolutely, and congratulations, team, for a job well done. And it's nice to be, it's more than nice, it's exceptionally pride. I'm very proud to be a part of a city that is ranked such at a high level nationally. So congratulations, staff. Appreciate it. All right, I will come down and take a picture. Do we have, Supervisor Steele is not here, I presume? No. Okay,
not.
well, we will move on. Madam Clerk.
Notice to the public, the city provides a yellow sign-in card to assist in the preparation of the minutes. The completion of the card is not required in order to address the city council. If the optional sign-in card has been completed, it should be placed in the box provided at the podium. The City Council of Newport Beach welcomes and encourages community participation. Public comments are generally limited to 3 minutes per person to allow everyone to speak. Written comments are encouraged as well. The City Council has a discretion to extend or shorten the time limit on agenda or non-agenda items. As a courtesy, please turn cell phones off or set them in the silent mode. Now is the time for City Council announcements.
Councilmember Petros. Councilmember Curry.
I have no announcements.
Councilmember Selich.
Excuse me, I have a couple. When I sat down at my desk tonight, I found these on my desk here. This is a chunk of the Park Avenue Bridge, and this is a piece of the rebar from it. And we've finally reached a milestone where we've completely demolished the old bridge. And do we have a photo that we can put up that shows what the bridge is like right now? You getting it? Anyway, it's been a long time coming. This was the first thing my predecessor told me when I got on the city council, Steve Bromberg, was to get the Park Avenue Bridge done. And we didn't quite get it done while it was on my watch on the council, but I made a lot of bets on Balboa Island over the summer, $100 bets, by the way, that the bridge was going to be done by March 31st. So we're almost there. It took a long time to get the bridge down. There were some difficulties that we were faced with, and it'll be a lot faster getting it erected. And so I know that Dave Webb and Mark and Fong, they're working real hard to get this bridge done by the end of March, because I'll be marching to their office looking for a little bit of assistance in paying these bets off. So if that's not an extra incentive, I don't know what is. And then the second thing I'd like to point out is we started the dredging of the Grand Canal, and if we can have those pictures come up. This is another project that I started right after I got on the city council, and we finally got the permits and got it underway this week. It's really a milestone for Balboa Island. I know that every year I'd go to the little Balboa Island property owners meeting, and they would ask me what's going on with the Grand Canal, and I kept saying, well, we have to wait till we get our eelgrass mitigation plan done before we can dredge it. In the meantime, the canal kept silting up, and the eelgrass got closer and closer to the surface, to the point where folks were telling me they were going to be able to walk across the canal and not need the bridge anymore. But anyway, we did get the eelgrass plan approved, and we're off and running. We're going to do the south end first. We'll move around and do the north end next, and then the last phase will be dredging where we're building the bridge. So very shortly, we'll have a freshly dredged Grand Canal, and happy to see that we finally got here. And again, my congratulations to our public works staff for doing such a great job in getting this difficult project through. It's funded entirely by federal funds. There's no city money involved in it, and it'll be a great improvement to our community. So thanks, guys. Appreciate all the hard work. I'm just disappointed you didn't quite get it done before I left the council, but that's okay.
Pretty close.
Pretty close.
Councilmember Piotr, any announcements? Mr. Duffield, Councilmember Duffield?
Only that rebarb looks pretty good, and that concrete doesn't look so bad either. So if it takes so long to take the bridge down, maybe it wasn't so. I'm just kidding.
Mayor Pro Tem, any announcements? Okay, I have a few. As always, I'm delighted to update folks on what's going on in the city and within the city. I'm happy to, do we have the slides on the American Public Works Association? Now, I don't know how many of you go to this annual lunch, but I was delighted to attend with our members of our public works staff, where the city and they received recognition for Project of the Year. And one was Marina Park, and the other is Newport Boulevard widening, and Newport Boulevard water main. Now, there are not many organizations that really recognize sewer drains, street widening, curb demolition and installation, but amongst the public works community, professional community, this is a very high honor, and congratulations, team, for the hard work that you do. And you're also recognized for coming in under budget and obtaining external funding through state and federal county grants. So congratulations for jobs well done. I appreciate it.
Thank you on that. I am looking for Friends of the Sewer. If you want to see me after, we can start a fan club.
Well, it was a job well done. Moving on, speaking of Marina Park, we have a busy week in the city with our Christmas parade beginning tomorrow night and at Marina Park. So for the first time now that we have Marina Park, it's great to open it up to the community. So tomorrow, December 14th, Marina Park will be taking center stage to kick off the 108th Newport Beach Christmas Boat Parade at 6 p.m. The parade's Grand Marshal, not only the very one and only Mickey Mouse, arrives. Then the Tree of Hope, which is decorated with gold ribbons bearing the name of a child living with cancer, will be lit. That is the charitable philanthropic donation from the Christmas parade. There will be booths with food and fun and face painting, live music featuring artists from the hit series The Voice. And then a Friday on the 16th, there is a sold out, that's good news, family fun night, again, to watch the parade. So that's a lot of activity going on. And then on Friday, the Oasis Senior Center is holding its annual Christmas luncheon. And I will be there. I think some others of us will be serving. Approximately 200 people will be there to enjoy their Christmas meal. And many city employees, and Tony, are you going? Great, I'll see you there. And your wife are volunteering their time. So thank you very much. Just a few little updates on around town. I had the pleasure of witnessing and lighting the Christmas trees at Balboa Village and Balboa Island, and then enjoyed the very successful Corona del Mar Christmas walk. Saw a lot of people there. It was really one of the best ever. And then Mayor Pro Tem Muldoon and I participated in Youth and Government Bill Review Process meeting last Friday night, helping the young high schoolers from Newport Harbor get ready for their Youth and Government Day in Sacramento. So I think that is it for my announcements. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk.
This is the time in which council members may pull items from the consent calendar for discussion, items 1 through 14. Public comments are invited on consent calendar for members of the audience. Speakers must limit comments to 3 minutes. Before speaking, please state your name for the record. If any item is removed from the consent calendar by a council member, members of the public are invited to speak on each item for up to 3 minutes per item. All matters listed under consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. Council members have received detailed staff reports on each of the items recommending an action. There will be no separate discussion of these items prior to the time the City Council votes on the motion unless members of the City Council request specific items to be discussed and are removed from the consent calendar for separate action.
All right, Councilmember Petros. Any items to pull?
Madam Mayor, I have none to pull, but I would like to log a no vote on item 5.
All right. Mr. Curry.
A correction on the minutes from November 29th, and Jim Mosier caught this. I'm quoted saying the proponents of Measure Y should be heard. It should have been the opponents of Measure Y should be heard. I may have misspoken. And then I'll pull item 5.
All right. Mr. Selich?
No items.
Councilmember Piotr?
I need to register an abstention for 3 and 4 as I wasn't here for the first reading.
All right. Councilmember Duffield? I have none. And Mayor Pro Tem? And I would like to move item number 17, which is listed under current business, to the consent calendar, since that is a rejection of a bid situation. So Mayor Pro Tem, do we have a motion?
Yes. Move the balanced consent calendar items 1 through 14 with clarifications on the minutes by Councilman Curry and item 14 with staff. No votes on item 5 by Councilmember Petros. Item 5 pulled by Councilman Curry. Item 7 moved by Mayor Dixon to the regular calendar. And abstention from Councilman Piotr on items 3 and 4.
Yes, item 17. Did you get that for me? Yeah. 17.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. 17, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll second.
All right. Members of the public wishing to speak on the items not polled, would you please come forward? So that would be everything but item number 5. Any comments, please? Oh, yeah.
Mayor Dixon and members of the council, my name is Jim Mosier. First, I had a general comment, which I intend to expand on when you get to the certification of the election later in the meeting. But it seems to me improper that the city staff should put the consent calendar or any other normal business matters before the old council on the day when the new representatives of the people have been named and are being impaneled to replace those old members. I think you should begin the meeting with the certification, and the business should be handled by the new council that the public has elected. That said, I submitted written comments on most of the items that are on the consent calendar. One I notice I missed is item number 6. So I would just point out that this is a request for you to authorize a 25% match of a grant from the Orange County Transportation Authority. And to the best of my ability to read the staff report, there's no hint as to what the dollar amount the city is committing to might be. And that seems a little strange to me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, please come forward.
Good evening, Mayor Dixon and City Council. Before I start, I'd just like to say thank you to our outgoing City Council members. You've been inspirational and hardworking, and we've really enjoyed having the ability to talk to you openly about subjects that affect our lives, and feel free to do that. So we really appreciate your service. I'm Joy Brenner, and I just wanted to comment on the library, this item 17 that's come before the council as a consent item now. As you all know, we spent a lot of time on that project, and I've spoken with Mark, I can't pronounce it, Mark V, and I've spoken with Tim, I've spoken with Jill Tucker, I spoke today with Scott. I understand the rationale for not accepting a bid at this time, and that we're hoping to get a lower bid in the new year. My only concern is that our outgoing council members have been our biggest supporters for the library project, and they know more than the new council members will know the efforts that we went to get group consensus on that, and how we solicited the public, we worked with the Board of Library Trustees, we worked with the council members, and we worked with the community to get that project where it is. And now we have a new council, or new members of the council coming in, and I'm just afraid that they won't really understand. In my opinion, that project was a prime example of how you really get consensus in a community and take a project forward, getting buy-in from all different parts. And I'm just concerned that the new council coming in won't really understand that, and that we'll kind of have to start over educating them about the importance of our public library in Corona Del Mar and our public libraries in general. I've asked Scott if he will be our advocate with the new council, and hopefully he will do that. But I just really am concerned that we're losing 3 of the people who were our biggest supporters for this project. So by delaying it and going to the new year, I'm just hoping that we won't encounter any delays or any changes to a project that we've really worked hard to get group consensus on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Laura Kerr, and I live in Newport. First, I'd like to thank Joy Brenner, who just spoke, for all her efforts to organize the Corona Del Mar Residents Association Election Forum this year, which was the largest and the only one with all 8 candidates. So thank you, Joy. So I wanted to comment on item 6, but first I want to thank the outgoing council members for their service. Going to council meetings, coffees, events is a big commitment, and we appreciate that. So one of the things on item 6 is it does call for a grant. The city wrote a proposal on October 21st to Orange County Transit Authority for a project which is well advanced in the planning stages to add bike lanes and a free right turn lane at PCH and Old Newport Boulevard. However, and the city will provide a 20% match, 25% match. This is great, but here's the issue. As Mr. Mosier mentioned, the staff report doesn't include any potential dollar amount, and the area map doesn't show where the project would be, what the particular examples are. And if this project is well down the planning cycle, that would be helpful for residents who are trying to understand the project, and I imagine for council, especially for those of us who this is the first time we're seeing this project coming across the planning cycle, or who live near free right turns and are concerned about how they're planned. So this is something that I would ask the council, outgoing council and new council, to continue to ask for and to expect that the staff reports include complete information about a project, especially because many times it's easy to just link to that project report, and it would save us all a lot of time. Rather than writing an email and asking where it is or calling, we could read the information online and feel like we have a better understanding of the project. So this is the theme, an ongoing theme for the last 10 years. The last time Mr. Petros, Mr. Selich, and Mr. Curry get to hear me comment about completeness in staff reports, completeness in accounting, and oversight. And so we appreciate that. And we also look forward to that diligence from the future council and staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Webb, you stepped up here. Do you want to respond to those comments, please?
Yes, I'm guessing you'd like some information on that. We apologize, first of all, the number of the grant that was submitted is about $1.6 million. That got arbitrarily left out of the staff report. This would be the second grant. As Ms. Kieran's just talked about, this is a highly publicized project. It's been on our CIP for several years. This is the second grant we're applying for. We did have a design grant right now we're working with on that. This grant would be for right-of-way. And it's a little tricky because right-of-way gets into unknowns, and we don't exactly have that figured out. The intersection we're talking about is Coast Highway and Old Newport Road, and the goal there is to basically around A's Market is to improve the safety right there. We have some real draft sketches we've been talking. It's also state right-of-way, and Old Newport Road is owned by the state. We've been talking to them. So once we get to a point where we can kind of agree that these are the two alternatives that go in the negative deck for environmental approval, we'll bring that forward. We're not trying to hide anything. In fact, if you look in the CIP, I think there's some draft plans we've shown before. So I also know that we do a lot of presentations and concepts to try to get that out before the audience, and I apologize it's not in this report.
So you're saying there's still going to be more public discussion on
There will be a lot more public discussion on this as it goes forward.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any other public comments on the consent calendar? Seeing none, we'll come back. And we have a motion and a second, and let's do the vote.
Prior to reading the vote, I'll read the ordinance titles for items 3 and 4. Ordinance number 2016-20, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Newport Beach amending the local coastal program, Title 21 of the Newport Beach Municipal Code by increasing the maximum allowable floor area for the Lido House Hotel project located at 3300 Newport Boulevard and 475 32nd Street. Councilmember Duffield and Piotr, please. Ordinance number 2016-22, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Newport Beach approving Code Amendment number CA 2016-005 for property located at 191 Riverside Avenue. The motion carries unanimously, 7-0.
Okay, we're going to go back to in the agenda to one of our presentations from Supervisor Steele. Mr. Tim Whitaker is here on the supervisor's behalf. If you'd like to come up to the lectern and talk about your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor and Board of Supervisors, City Manager, for accommodating us. The Vice Chair is actually still in session. The Board's been in session since 9:30 this morning, and there's still about 40 more comments. She wanted to be here herself. There are 9 of our 10 cities are doing reorganization meetings tonight. It is very important for her. She wanted to reach out and touch those cities that had gentlemen and ladies that were stepping off their service to the cities. And so she's real disappointed she can't be here personally right now. And thank you for accommodating because we have to go from here to Costa Mesa to Rossmore. But so I'm going to be brief, and I know that she's going to talk to these 3 gentlemen as well as yourself later. But what we have on behalf of the Vice Chair, we know we've got a few folks here that have served the city well and long and done a great job for the constituency. She's enjoyed great working relationships with all 3 of them. She wants them to know that her doors are open 24/7. You're still VIPs and still city leaders in her eyes, and you can reach out to us directly anytime 24/7. As many of you do, you have our cells and can accomplish that anytime. But to the city of Newport Beach, she's real proud of these 3, and they've done a great job. And so if I could ask council members Ed Selich, Keith Curry, and Tony Petros to come down momentarily, I'd like to present something to them on behalf of the Vice Chair. I'm gonna let her. Yeah, I can come over there. I'll let her save her special comments for you because each one of you enjoyed a separate relationship with her and have reached out to her from time to time. I know that I've, on her behalf, represented, and we've had many good conversations. I can tell you on matters that pertain to the city. Each one of these gentlemen have united in singular concerns within the city on behalf of the constituents they served. Each one of them served admirably. It was a pleasure to work with them and on their behalf and to do what we could do to try to accommodate whatever that they were trying to do on behalf of the constituents. They're all great gentlemen and done your city proud. So.
It's 11? Yeah. That's okay. Okay, Tony.
And then real quick, Madam Chair, Madam Chair, Madam Mayor, could you come down, please?
Oh, sure.
The Vice Chair knows that each city each year from amongst their peers, they elect someone to lead the city. And that was you last year. And you've done a great job in your leadership. And it's important for her to want to make sure that she knows that that you're appreciated and that she wants your constituents to know as well that she has the utmost confidence in your abilities, and what you've done this last year has made things go a lot easier for us as we try to get some things done. So on her behalf, thank you so very much. Let's see who's doing this. Thank you. And then lastly, I know they're not here, but you've got a couple folks who are going to be installed. Hopefully we're going to get done in time that we can be over at Back Bay Bistro to welcome the new folks who are going to step up. And our doors are open to those gentlemen that are elected as well. That's going to be, help me out here. We've got, because I'm drawing a blank, and this is terrible. I know that we have for Mr. Petro's seat, that was Brad Avery, and then for Mr. Curry's seat was Mr. O'Neill, and then it was Mr. Herdman for Mr. Selledge's seat, right? Very good. So
That's very good of you to remember all those.
doing what we can do. I hate to have interrupted the meeting. Thank you for accommodating. Got to run to Costa Mesa.
Go do it.
And then thank you guys very much. If we don't see anybody here prior to Christmas, it's great to say Merry Christmas again. Have a blessed one, and thank you guys. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. All right, now we'll resume our consent calendar. So the item pulled was item number 5. Let me go back to state what that is. It's the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 201623 related to the Museum House project. So I see some folks out here that I anticipate will want to speak on this item. So what we will do is consolidate your comments on this item specifically, which is the ordinance, as well as other comments that you may have wanted to make in the public comment non-agenda item section. So we'll just be more efficient tonight. Same 3-minute presentation. Since we have time a little bit tonight, we'll have 3 minutes. So, Mr. Curry, you pulled it. If you'd like to make a comment.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just had some questions for the city attorney. Mr. Harp, we received this letter on November 29th from Susan Skinner questioning the validity of a vesting tentative track map as part of the documentation that was approved, and therefore questioning the validity of the approval of the project at the council's meeting of the 29th. Can you comment on that, please?
Yeah, we did have a chance to look at that. She's basically saying that there's an inconsistency, but it becomes consistent with the adoption of all the items. So there's not really a legal issue there. So we're not concerned about it from a legal perspective.
Okay. Let me ask the city clerk, as I understand it, the petitions are due on the 29th of November. And
Correct.
City Hall,
December.
Thank you. And City Hall is scheduled to be closed during that time. What happens then?
I have deputized the front office staff at the police department since they are open during that week, and then I will, and then they will notify me when the petitions are turned in.
Yeah, and Mr. Harp, you're satisfied that that meets all the legal requirements for filing during that period of time?
I am. Yeah, the city clerk has the power to deputize deputy clerks, and I think that that's a sufficient way to go about dealing with the fact that the city hall be closed.
And I want to note that those hours that they are deputies are the same hours that if the city clerk's office were open, so it's Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 5:30, and Friday, 7:30 to 4:30 of that week, although Friday would be too late.
Thank you. And then just one last question. Chief Lewis, could you come down, please? Chief, as you know, in the newspaper, there have been allegations of people blocking people trying to sign petitions, of people claiming identity theft, of a variety of fraudulent activities in this qualification campaign. And I understand the police department has looked into that. Is there any words or advice you would like to offer the public or can give the public who may confront this about how they should react to it, or who they should call, or what they should do?
What our advice to folks out there that are find themselves in a situation where they have questions and they feel the need for police to assist, then we give us the opportunity to respond, and we'll be happy to go out and assist in any way we can. I mean, that's really what our role is here. It's a peacekeeping function. So we want people to understand that we're here for them, and to call us should they have a question or need some assistance.
Okay, thank you. As I said last week, I support this project, but I have to tell you that the campaign that's been run in the past 2 weeks is the most dishonest, deceitful, denigrating campaign, denigrating many of our key citizens. It is absolutely disgusting. I said if we didn't take a stand previously when we had this kind of thing in a campaign, that it would come back to haunt us, and it didn't take 2 weeks before here we are again. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Let's turn it over to the public for any comments on this item. Please come forward. How many of you would like to speak? Okay, that's fine. Good. Thank you.
Hello, William Allen, live at 906 Springtide Drive. The police captain was kind enough to say the right way to deal with the protesters. I'm here to say the wrong way. I had an incident at Ralph's in East Bluff today.
Sir, you have the right to an attorney. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law.
No problem.
Okay.
So yesterday I was getting a cup of coffee and I noticed these thuggish gentlemen were harassing these senior citizen ladies collecting the signatures. I'm in the real estate business, and I'm not a fan of the NIMBY groups, so I'm not opposing the project, but it was just offensive to me that my neighborhood market, these people were being harassed. So I wrote you guys a nice email saying, hey, I hope you look into it. Well, today I was there, and I walked up, and there was 7 or 8 of them, and I got into a verbal altercation at the entrance. And then I got my coffee, and I walked out the other entrance because I didn't want to avoid them. And I walked to my car as fast as I could. I got in, I started up, they saw me, and they ran over to my car, over 50 yards away. I backed my car out, they blocked my car. I got out, and they physically attacked me. And when I say physically attacked, I'm saying 2 guys grabbed me while another guy went like this in my head, punched me 3 times in the head, ripped my shirt, cut my ear. And I was literally fighting for my life. This is not something that lasted like 5 seconds. I'm screaming, help. I'm in the Ralph's parking lot going, help, help, police, police, call police. So we waited around for the police. A bunch of guys were there. The police were very nice. I decided not to press charges. I did not throw any punches. I just defended myself. And sir, if you think I should file charges, I'd be happy to, because I just did not want to get my name in the paper and have a he said, she said deal. But I think it's reprehensible that the developer has used these tactics. It's okay to have people collect signatures, but these guys had neck tattoos, earrings, backwards hats, a black flag T-shirt, and they're almost. I feel like they've taken quasi-gang members and brought them into our city to harass the citizens, and that's all. So it was a harrowing day for me. This is not your fault. This is not your fault. This is an unintended consequence, but I really hope you can do something about it. That's all. Thank you very much.
And Mr. Allen, just to be sure, the people who assaulted you, the position they had on the project was they were opposed to people signing the petition. They were supporters of the project?
Absolutely. They were consultants for a related company, and there were 7 or 8 of them.
Thank you.
There's a police report and so forth. So.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Allen, the only reason I warned is because I had heard about the altercation. I used to be a DA. So it sounds like there was something. I'm sorry. I'm glad to see you're okay.
Yeah,
I understand that it's been contentious on both sides, and there's a third group who's not the legitimate opposition to the tower that's also involved, who's being contentious as well, who is neither here in Related's behalf or Spawn's behalf. So I'm sorry that you had this occurrence.
Yeah, okay, I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm not opposing the project. I just really was upset that I got literally chased to my car and it's just not right. So
thank you for coming tonight to share that. Thank you. Next, please.
My name is Dennis Baker. This is the petition that was being referred to. I actually am not going to take the position that you have no responsibility that he did. Niccolo Machiavelli would have been very impressed with what's been going on. We go back to 150 Newport Center. 150 Newport Center was mysteriously pulled at the very last moment, and some of the principals for that project were here expecting it to be heard. Something went on in the back, out of sight. Was pulled. Was it pulled to make room for another project? I don't have any proof of that, but I sure am suspicious about that. Then we have a special council meeting called on November 29th for the approval of the general plan amendment. A special council meeting, November 29th, that puts anything like this right into the holidays, one of the hardest times to ever get signatures for anything. Then during the council meeting, the planning department refers to LU 6.14.4, quote, reinforce the original design concept of Newport Center, concentrating the greatest building mass and height in the northeasterly section of San Joaquin Hills Road. The project is located in the west part of the north quadrant, or north section rather, of Newport Center. So we're changing the words. Northeast suddenly becomes north, or the west part of northwest, or northwesterly. Half of the names on the supporting project, the ad that the supporters came in, they'd collect the signatures on a petition. Half of those people were not even residents of Newport Beach. Affirming council members that voted on that project used Dave Ellis as their consultant. Dave Ellis is a consultant to get this project passed. Maybe nothing to that, but it certainly doesn't look very good. At least one council member, it was Mr. Selich, had a lengthy prepared statement which he read after the voting, which indicates that the result was a foregone conclusion. And it's just going to happen. The mayor proposes $4 million worth of spending additions to the applicant. That had to have been planned. I mean, she had specific things. Councilmember Selich, thank you. You loaded it up pretty well. It's a pretty big document. Would have been a lot thicker had you gotten your way and added all the planning commission meeting minutes. Now we have all the stuff you're hearing about right now. You have the phony petitions. You have these things going out, using people's names without their permission. Tom Johnson, Susan Skinner, Nicole, one of our people, Nicole Reynolds. Their names are being put on the opposition's mailers. Machiavelli would have truly been impressed.
All right, thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Nancy Skinner, and I would like to start by thanking Tony Petros for your very thoughtful comments last meeting when you voted against this because you did want to do what the people wanted. I appreciate that. And I'm also very grateful to Keith Curry for the eloquent appeal to his colleagues not to do what you're looking at right here, because it does put a huge barrier to a constitutional right. And so I'm really speaking to the rest of you. Ed Selich, who is one that proposed this, the rest of you who supported it. And I'm kind of here sincerely, because this is already a thing that has happened, to hope at the time after I finish explaining to you what we had to do with this, that I hope that you will not do this again ever to your constituents. This has really been tough. And I know you wanted it to be, maybe some of you, but I don't think everybody realized how tough it was. So I'm here just to let you know about that. Ed Selich included the whole entire EIR, which is 3,481 pages. By the time you added the rest of the things that we had to document, probably around 3,700 pages. That's 7 reams of paper, just to give you an idea how much that is. Obviously, we couldn't carry that around because it has to be attached to the permit, the petition, excuse me, not the permit. And so we had to get somebody to reformat all those pages. We got larger paper, as you can see, 8 by 17, I think it is. And they were able to reformate every page on the EIR to make 4 pages on one side, and then they did the double side. And they did this for the whole thing, and that's how we ended up with this size, which is 1,030, it's either 34 or 43 pages, and this weighs 10 pounds, and it's attached to every petition. And to do that, It took over 7 days, so it gave us at least a week. Ed's smiling, so I guess that's what you wanted. But it took at least a week to get it ready to even print the petitions, and then several days to print them. The printer told me it took 1 hour for each petition to print. So we didn't even see a petition until 8 days after you made the decision, and then we didn't get them all at once either. So this took until last Saturday is when they finished giving us all the petitions. We've done the best we can to do this, and I think we're going to win, but I want you to just think about what you have asked us to do. Somebody involved with the petition said to me, I wrote it down so I get it right, I have never, ever seen something so devious. The other thing I wanted to add, though, is that please don't do this to anybody else on any kind of a disputed project. It gives a very chilling effect on our constitutional rights. That's all I want to say, and I'm very sincere. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other speakers on this item? Please come forward.
Hello, Joy Brenner again. I hadn't intended to speak, but when the gentleman from Ralph's told his story, I had to say something. I've lived here for 55 years. We've had a lot of issues that have come before our council that have had multiple sides to them. In my recollection, we have always worked pretty well together. We've had different opinions, but we've talked about them. We've said, you have a right to your opinion, you have a right to your opinion. We've never had anything like this before. And I really just wanted to implore Kevin, as our future mayor, to examine your orientation. I know you're an attorney, and I know you've had clients that are big business and that sort of thing, that you have to protect their interests. This is not just contentious. When people, our citizens, are out collecting signatures, they're not being contentious. They're just presenting their facts as they understand it to people and asking them if they'd like to sign the petition. This takes it to a whole different level. And as an attorney, I know you have one orientation, but I'm just hoping, really begging you, that when you become our mayor, you reorient your thinking to being a representative of the citizens of Newport Beach, because that's what we ask of all of you. We ask you to consider what the citizens want and what we think is best for the city of Newport Beach, not because we've got a big development project that we're going to make a lot of money from. We're people who care about the city of Newport Beach. And I implore all of you, but especially you, Kevin, because you're relatively new and you're going to be the mayor, to really look at your orientation and see yourself as our advocate and our protector for the citizens of Newport Beach. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Mayor Dixon and members of the council, my name again is Jim Mosier. First, I wanted to say I believe it's improper, a lot of improper things happening tonight, to consolidate the comments on agenda and non-agenda items into a single thing. I did want to speak about the referendum, but I want more to speak about the matter that you're going to be voting on, which is an agenda item. Number 5, and it's asking you to give the final adoption to 2 ordinances at their second reading. As I said in writing, I think it would be helpful, since there is a referendum going on, for the city attorney to clarify for you and for the public what the status of these ordinances would be if you adopt them tonight, but the referendum, which is on a different matter that's not on the agenda, were to go forward, and the general plan amendment to be overridden by a public vote. I think it would be helpful for everybody to know that. Speaking of the item that is here, you have 2 separate ordinances. One is about a so-called planned community. Of that, all I can say is the planned community is much too small to be a planned community by the city's standards, and it permits heights, as I mentioned before, that are completely inconsistent, and the city staff admitted are inconsistent with the height limits the city has for residential development. The other item is the development agreement. That's a separate ordinance, and there's much I could say about that, but the showstopper for me is who you're being asked to sign this agreement with. I find the name of the other party here in bold letters on page 5-44 of your staff report. You're being asked to sign a contract with ACMA Urban Housing LLC. That name rings some bells with me because my part of the city, as others, have been inundated with this, I don't know a word to use for this, misleading literature coming and with the name ACMA Urban Housing LLC is paying for this. We hear voter alert. We hear the police are onto this. We hear contact immediately if you see somebody circulating one of these fake petitions. And then this last Sunday, the lowest of all, we hear this, that the petition circulation is part of some kind of a holiday identity theft scam that is going on in the city. Again, alert the police, alert the city clerk via a postcard that, as far as I can tell, doesn't even go to the city clerk. I am wondering where the city's response to this is. Where is there something on the website assuring us that a legitimate petition is not an identity theft scam? Where is a letter in our mailboxes from the city assuring this that it's not a scam? And you might wonder why I'm standing at this podium when I usually stand over here. I'm standing here because Mr. Bill Whitty stood here 2 weeks ago telling you what an honorable man he was and what an honorable company he represented. 2 weeks later, we know that is not true, and I'm going to say something I have never said in my 7 years of speaking to the council. Shame on you, shame on any one of you who now, knowing what Related Company does, is willing to sign this contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Good evening, members of the committee. My name is Dr. Jack Skinner, and my daughter is Susan Skinner. She could not be here tonight as she is still at work. She asked me to comment to you that the vesting map is incomplete as documented in her letter to you, and she believes that this prevents you from giving a final approval to this project tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, why don't I go back to staff? First, Ms. Brandt, do you want to comment on some of the comments related to the planned community, the quadrant map, and then we'll go to the city attorney after you. There was a comment about the, Mr. Baker commented on the misstatement or misidentification of the development in whether the north or northeast.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm Kim Brandt, Community Development Director. I believe that Mr. Baker was referring to a land use element policy contained in the general plan that talks about the location of high-rise within Newport Center, and it talked about the northwest corner as the northwest quadrant of Newport Center as being a location for high-rise development. Excuse me, thank you very much, Councilmember Petros, northeast quadrant. So it was important to note, and staff did speak to this in the staff report, is that that policy does not restrict high-rise development to that quadrant within Newport Center, but just talks about as an area where it would be appropriate. But again, it did not restrict it to that area, and that was what we documented in the staff report to the City Council.
Okay, thank you. Was there anything else that you heard anyone, members of the public, speak to that you wanted to comment on?
In respect to the vesting tentative track map, that's not on your agenda this evening. That was adopted by resolution at your November 29th meeting. So the action before you tonight is the second reading on the planned community regulations. So as Mr. Harp had indicated in his comments, that all of the approvals that the City Council has taken to date on Museum House are predicated on the general plan amendment being approved and being upheld or withstanding any potential referendum. If the City Council were to have the referendum presented to you, at that time we would present the different options that would be available to the Council at that time regarding the subsequent approvals to the general plan as they relate to the project.
Okay, Mr. Harp, did you have any other comments related to if the referendum is successful and the actions and the consequence to the actions that we take this evening?
Well, so briefly, if a valid petition containing all the requisite number of signatures is submitted in a timely manner, then basically options for the council are either repeal the entire ordinance or submit the ordinance to the voters. And that would take care, we would wrap all the actions up into that, so there wouldn't be something left out hanging.
Okay, bring it back up to council. Any comments? Seeing none? Seeing none. I would like to make some comments. I too am disappointed that both sides of this debate are resorting to tactics. Both sides, I should say, are not befitting a quality community that we are. One side has misstated many of the facts concerning the project's environmental impact, its green light requirement, its scope and height, and has made statements suggesting that this proposal does not comport with the city charter and general plan and other legal requirements, as Mr. Harp has just clarified. Many of those statements are not factual and they are incorrect. The other side has resorted to tactics in their efforts to dissuade petition signers that I find highly distasteful. These types of campaign tactics are best left to the gutter and do not serve their project or the city well. And then there is a third group that I understand is not directly affiliated with either of the project supporters or the project opponents, but is funding workers at the petition gathering sites to create confusion. Apparently, this independent and unidentified third group is spending many hundreds of thousands of dollars in media, in paid media and other efforts to perhaps confuse the public, and by confronting people and urging them not to sign the petitions. This is all very strange and highly disappointing and disgusting, frankly. My wish, my desire, and my intent tonight is to urge all sides, however many sides there are, at least 3 independent parties who are doing combat within the city limits of Newport Beach, and to cease that type of gutter level political activity. And I urge all parties to take the high road that is more befitting of Newport Beach. This is not a union organizing effort. This is about our community exercising their free speech and petitioning rights, which I respect. I urge all parties to focus on the merits of this debate, which is a legitimate debate to have in our community, and make your arguments with civility. And in this holiday season, I urge you sincerely, if you're listening, all parties to this effort, please respect the spirit of the season and these activities that affect our citizens. Should I call for the vote? Oh, Mr. Piotr, did you have a comment to make?
Just a quick comment to follow up on what you said. You know, just as a clarification for those that are watching us or here tonight, the city's role is not to get in there and pick winners or losers as you're out there gathering petitions. We just want to keep the peace. That's what the police are out there doing. They're not going to sit there and say, you're not allowed to say this or you're not allowed to say that. They'll probably just encourage some separation so that there's no conflicts like we saw with one of our citizens here tonight. So all we're looking for is a peaceful way for everybody to be able to present their side however they want to present their side. That's frankly the beauty of free speech in our country. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Curry.
First of all, I would just say that the suggestion of moral equivalency, begin what's happening between one side and the other, is just simply wrong. We're seeing thugs, we're seeing what almost amounts to gang and criminal activity and voter intimidation. We're going to be investigated by the Department of Justice like Mississippi for the way that these things happen in our community, and it is absolutely wrong. And the city did put its finger on the scale when we made the petition 10 pounds weighing. So to Mr. Piotr's point, I think we've already weighed in on this in a way we should not have.
Any other comments? Did you want to make a comment?
Yeah. Oh, I'm not on your list there.
No? That's not, no, yeah, I'm not.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think your statement was well said, Mayor, and I just think it's unfortunate that this campaign has reached the level that it has. Since I've been on the Planning Commission and City Council, I think this is the third or fourth initiative or referendum that I've seen take place in the community, but it's the first time we've had a three-legged stool, if you will. We have three parties out there, and this one party have no idea what their interest is in this effort. So I don't know what's causing all the conflict out there and where it's all coming from. I don't think anyone does, because we have one group out there that we don't know who they are or who they represent or exactly what's going on there. So it's unfortunate that it's reached this level, but I think it's important to point out it's the first time we've ever had one of these where we've had actually three groups out there promoting different agendas. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let's see, now let's call for the vote. We have a second, correct? Yes.
We don't have a motion.
Oh, we don't have a motion?
I'll move that we approve staff recommendation item number 5.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Let's vote.
Before reading the vote, I'll read the ordinance titles. For ordinance number 2016-23, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Newport Beach adopting Planned Community Development Plan number PC 2015-001, amending the San Joaquin Plaza Planned Community located at 850 and 856 San Clemente Drive, and ordinance number 2016-24, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Newport Beach approving development agreement number DA 2016-001 for the 100-unit Museum House multifamily residential project located at 850 San Clemente Drive. Council members Curry and, with Councilmember Petros voting no and Councilmember Curry abstaining, the motion carries 5-1-1.
Okay, Madam Clerk, do you want to continue?
Public comments on non-agenda items. Public comments are invited on non-agenda items generally considered to be within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. Speakers must limit comments to 3 minutes. Before speaking, please state your name for the record.
If you'd like to speak, please come forward on a non-agenda item.
Good evening again, Madam Mayor and members of the council. My name is Nancy Skinner. I have 3 separate things to comment, and one is I want to say the Christmas decorations are outstanding. I've been wanting somebody to know that for a long time. But the other thing I wanted to say was that it used to be able to allow 5 minutes to speak here, and I understand why it goes to 3 and maybe even sometimes to 2 when you have too many. But I think it is unfortunate that we get cut off fairly soon. So what I wanted to do, since I did get cut off, I wanted to end what I was saying, because I was quite sincere about hoping this doesn't happen to others in the future. I just wanted to make this comment. We do have differences of opinion, but we don't have to resort to the kind of thing that I was talking about, that putting 3,700 pages in a petition is just brutal. And that's the kind of thing I think I'm looking for fairness. And this one's a done deal, but I'm talking about the future. I really think if we're going to be the kind of city that we want to be, if we are going to be not wanting to leave that kind of legacy, we ought to really think hard and long on it. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments on non-agenda items?
Come to these meetings because I don't intend to speak this much, but I just
restate your name.
Joy Brenner. I just have to say I understand the admonition to all parties to be civil in this sort of a situation, but I would like to remind you that the people collecting signatures, Duffy, they're like your mom. They're like your sister. They're like those of us who have lived here our whole lives. We have never been violent about anything in our lives. And we are just exercising our civic responsibility to ask for signatures to put something on the ballot. This is so polar opposite from the behavior of the other side that I really think it's imperative of you as our city council to make a serious, strong statement about the fact that that's not okay. I mean, you're not taking sides by saying that. You're saying that kind of behavior in the city of Newport Beach is totally unacceptable. And I think it's your responsibility to say that, because there's a big difference between what one side is doing here and what another side is doing here. And you know, most of us have been collecting signatures in this city for our whole lives, and we have never had this sort of confrontation and controversy. We could have tables sitting next to each other and still talk to the people on the other side and say, you know, we understand what you're talking about and why you like this and why you don't. This is different. And this really requires some serious statement on your part to say, this is totally unacceptable for citizens in Newport Beach who are just exercising their civic responsibility to be harassed in this way. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Mr. Kiff, if we wanted to do that, how would we do that? Make a statement of the committee as a whole?
To put that on the agenda, if it were coming from the whole council.
And that would be the next meeting?
It'd be in January, yeah. If, arguably that's the best way to do that.
Mr. Curry, did you have a comment? Oh, I was still there. Well, I would like to move that we place something on the agenda. The petition gathering process will have concluded by the next meeting.
Well, there's no item on the agenda tonight to take an action, but there's a procedures for things to come back on the agenda. So I think Dave has direction on that.
Okay. Right. I know, so I have to keep my mouth shut.
Sometimes the council policy gets waived, though.
Okay. All right. Any other public comments? None? Seeing none. Now we move to oral reports from City Council on committee activities. Mr. Piotr.
None.
Mr. Duffield.
I was at the Watershed Committee meeting, and things are looking good, and we're working hard. Staff and everybody's working in the right direction for sediment control and everything else. So I'm comfortable with all of that.
Very good. Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Petros. No. Mr. Curry. No reports. Mr. Selich.
No reports.
All right. Let's move into current business. Item number 12, annual concrete replacement program. Staff, Mr. Webb. Mark V., do you have a report, please?
These are the, again, big dollar items that you'd have an opportunity to have a staff report on. We didn't envision that you'd want a staff report on this one, but we could do it.
I'll move the item.
Okay, any discussion up here? Moving out to the public, any public comments on the concrete replacement program? Please come forward. Seeing none, we'll come back. We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote. Unless there are any questions? I still have Mr. Curry's name up here. You're not. Okay. All right, let's call for the vote.
Motion carries unanimously, 7-0.
All right. Similarly, item number 16, Corona Del Mar concrete pavement reconstruction. Shall we?
So actually, this one you might just maybe have a picture or two that Mark can provide. This is an important one that has involved a lot of community dialogue. It won't take very long, but maybe Mark can quickly summarize the community dialogue so that you folks are comfortable in knowing that we did what we're supposed to do in terms of meeting with the community about this. This is the reforestation and repaving of Poppy and parts of Ocean.
Okay, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Kiff. Very quickly, this is the way Poppy used to look, but with some of the trees that have diseased and we've had to remove, you can see that Poppy is beginning to look very stark. And we began working with the community last year to look at how we could replant, reforest, and rebuild Poppy. This is just a cross-section of the way it looks. We spent many meetings with the community and talking to them about what they would prefer, and at the end of the day, they would like to see Poppy rebuilt the way it was, with the sidewalks in the same side and same width, but to install trees as big as possible too. And so we worked closely to try to figure out tree selection with the community, including water gums and African tulip trees, and then landscaping that would be in the parkways as well too. And you can see some of the community meetings that we had, and we sent postcards to all the residents there, directed them to our city website where they could look specifically at their property and any questions. And we met with the Parks and Beaches and Recreation Commission, Corona Del Mar Residents Association, and Friends of Oasis. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. We are moving forward. If it's award tonight we'll begin in January. It'll be construction contract. It's going to be about 4 or 5 months, and we have a fantastic bid price on this, and we're looking forward to constructing this.
So did you make everyone happy? Are they okay over on Poppy?
Yeah, let me talk briefly to that. I wanted to thank Mark and Dave and the community members that helped on this panel, including Julie Brinkerhoff-Jacobs. This was really difficult to remove those trees, so it was a lot of saying what you're seeing today, that we'll remove them, but we're going to replace them with something that's going to look great. We're going to do it soon, and soon for us does take a little while, but I want to thank the community members. I want to thank Councilmember Piotr for participating in those and watching as we went along, so and the staff. And I do believe the fact that no one is here to say no is a good sign, and I really appreciate the work that went into this.
Okay, very good. Mr. Petros.
Mark or Dave, on a 36-inch box on that type of tree, do you have any idea what the trunk height will be when it's placed? Where does the canopy start on a 36-inch box?
I don't have that measurement. I do know that we are using a special method where we are going to be installing the trees first before we put in the curb and gutter and the sidewalk. So that way we can maximize the trees.
36-inch box is a very large tree to install initially, so I commend you for that. And it would just be, the image you had of the section showed the canopy starting just above head height. It would be really delightful if we could get to the point where the moment this is installed, folks could walk down a shaded sidewalk. I don't know if that's possible or not.
We'll look for those trees too. We're also concerned because we have a very narrow parkway. We've got trucks and cars running by, so we're going to have to get those canopies up.
On them. Okay, thank you.
All right. Any members of the public wishing to comment? Seeing none, we'll come back. Do we have a motion?
Move the item.
Second?
Second.
All right, let's vote.
Motion carries unanimously, 7-0.
All right, now, as you recall, item number 17 was voted on in consent. So I'm going to gavel now. We are going to go into recess. It is 6:11 to 7 p.m., and then we will come back for our reorganization. Thank you. All right. If everyone would please have a seat, we will commence our reorganization. Do we have all members here? Are we missing the Mayor Pro Tem? Where is the Mayor Pro Tem? There. All right. All right. Well, we are reconvening. We had a brief recess, the Newport Beach City Council, December 13th, 2016. Item number 13 on our agenda is a reorganization, is our special order of business. We will begin with presentations, and I believe we have a representative of Congressman Rohrabacher. If you'd like to come first, please.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here on behalf of Congressman Dana Rohrabacher to present a certificate of recognition to Edward Selich for 21 years of public service to the city of Newport Beach, and to his dedication for making sure that Newport Beach is a great place to live and that you haven't even missed one session Thank you very much.
Let's go over by the flag.
After the presentation. I've got it right here.
I also have a certificate of recognition on behalf of Congressman Dana Rohrabacher to Keith Curry for 10 years of public service to the city of Newport Beach and for leaving behind a legacy of fiscal responsibility and surpluses in the budget. Thank you very much for your service. And I'm also honored to be here to make a statement from the congressman to present the certificate of recognition to Tony Petros. And the congressman says, I am pleased to give this congressional certificate, which in and of itself speaks highly of you, as you have spoken highly of me.
Oh, that's very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to step back a little bit. I neglected to provide for our invocation, which we had moved to this portion of the meeting. So I'd like to bring forward Reverend Eric Hurd of Mariners Church. If we all please rise for our invocation. Thank you.
Let's pray. God, what can we say at this time of the season but thank you? Thank you for this city that we get to live in. Thank you for how it's governed. Thank you for the beauty of it. Thank you for your provision of it. And tonight we are just grateful as new councilmen come on to this city council. We thank you for our mayor. We thank you for our council, men and women. We thank you for the way that they lead. We pray that you would grant them wisdom. There are so many decisions that have to be made, and God, would you give them that wisdom, that they would be fiscally responsible, that they would do what is good for the citizens of this city. And God, we pray for civility. We know that as people, it is easy to get into battles and conflict and disagreements. But God, you call us to be a civil people. God, may we also be tolerant. We have our differences. There are viewpoints that we have, different values, different expectations. But God, may we be civil and may we be tolerant and may we be loving. This is a great time of the year for us to come together and to celebrate all the good things in our lives, our city, our families, our friends. And God, we're thankful too for all your provision of what we get to enjoy. And we pray that you would be with us in this council meeting tonight. We pray, amen.
And now we'll proceed with the presentations, and we have Assemblyman Matt Harper. Would you like to come forward, please? Pardon me? Oh. All right. Is there any other? Is Senator Morlock here yet? He was going to be coming shortly also. Do you want to do this? Do it late? Well, come back and do it later. Do you want? What do you want? Would you like us to do?
I apologize. I have been able to successfully make it to Irvine, Costa Mesa, and now Newport Beach, but the hardware for our outgoing council members I'm still waiting on. But I do want to very much express my appreciation for each of the council members that are departing today. Tony Petros, thank you very much for your service. What you've done for the city is outstanding. Councilman Curry, of course, we may have disagreed on a couple issues and maybe a certain race in the past, but I wanted to express how much I sincerely appreciate your record here in the city of Newport Beach and what you've done to be able to advance things for the city and be able to provide for the common good. And also, Ed Seelich, for your work here within the city of Newport Beach. I definitely wanted to express my appreciation for what you've been able to do here, and thank you so much for what you've been able to do here with the city of Newport Beach. But looks like I'll go ahead and do those presentations afterwards, but thank you very much for your work and for your service, and congratulations in advance to our new mayor.
So, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor, can we take a photo with Assemblyman Harper and the council members, please?
Excuse me.
Thank you.
There'll be many of these cues. All of you with Assemblyman. Unless you'd like individual ones, you're welcome to do that.
We'll get the hardware. We'll do it later.
You want to do it later?
Yeah.
They're all here. I think you're on.
Just hold one. All right, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. It is my honor to offer you, Mayor Dixon, the gavel plaque. This is a plaque that commemorates Mayor Diane Dixon's service to the community, and you'll note it's very appropriate. It is a gavel, and justice has been very important to Diane and her family. She comes from a journalism background family where she was raised to be very engaged and educated on the current events, and her husband is a well-respected prosecutor, and her daughter is a lawyer as well, who I also believe is a prosecutor. So it's my pleasure to present this to you. Thank you. On behalf of the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me take my glasses off. Thank you. Well, that's lovely, and I will treasure that. Now is the moment that I make a few comments, and I'm delighted to do so. My, how time flies when you're having fun. When I became mayor, and it seems like only yesterday, I laid out some goals and priorities for the year. Now that I'm about to pass the baton to the next mayor, it's time to look back and see what progress was made against that list. I organized the list into 5 broad priorities: maintain fiscal discipline, invest in our harbor and water quality, revitalize our communities, public safety, and public-private partnerships. One by one, maintain fiscal discipline. The council has held the line in the city's budget in all spending areas, excluding, previously negotiated contracts and employee agreements. City staff has been reduced down 109 positions from 2008, thanks to the prior council as well. But I've seen no loss in the quality that city residents have come to expect in their services. We have expanded the work of the Finance Committee to wrestle with the substantial unfunded pension liability that is becoming like a virus taking over our general fund spending. The unfunded amount ranges from $300 to $500 million, depending on the rate of return realized on investment funds managed by CalPERS, the state pension board. Whatever number you use, paying it down will begin to crowd out our general fund spending across the board. This issue will continue to be front burner in the new year and beyond. Invest in our harbor and water quality. The council has directed the Harbor Commission to draft a comprehensive harbor financial and infrastructure master plan that will combine in one planning process all maintenance, structural, and other improvements needed, including seawalls, dredging, and improved boating amenities and trash removal. My objective remains to bring increased visibility and financial planning to our land and water capital planning processes. Progress has been made, including a proposal to give the Harbor Commission more oversight over harbor-related capital planning. Revitalize and renew. There is a lot going on in Newport Beach, and particularly West Newport. The revamped, improved, and recently reopened Lido Marina Village, a collection of specialty shops bringing a must-visit and shop excitement to our community, is already becoming an exciting regional shopping and dining destination. Another exciting new amenity is emerging after ground was broken several months ago on the Lido House Hotel project at the former City Hall site. The entryway to the peninsula, Newport Boulevard, from Via Lido to 32nd Street is being transformed into a revitalized resident and visitor serving area. Public Works has realigned the street, redesigned and planted drought-tolerant landscaping, and improved traffic flow. And next summer, our Balboa Peninsula Shuttle will begin service. Further down the peninsula, the former Balboa Village Theater has been sold to Lab Holdings, LLC, for transformation into a 21st century entertainment, dining, and retail venue. The city has worked with Balboa Village Merchants Association to improve traffic and city amenities there. Watch for the new Balboa Village gateway sign to be installed later this month. Turning to Mariners Mile, the council recently approved a zoning change to permit mixed-use commercial retail offerings on Riverside Drive on the side of the old post office. This retail area is undergoing a much-needed facelift. The council also held several study sessions on Mariners Mile and its future, and city planners have held a series of public meetings and are drafting a revitalization master plan. Watch for more to come after the first of the year, and the public has a major role in this plan. Public safety. We welcome Chief John Lewis as our new police chief this year. The changeover at chief is an opportunity to review and reevaluate all facets of the department's operations, and this work is underway. Property crime rates in 2016 have ticked up slightly, and the department will be reporting to the community after the first of the year. It goes without saying that public safety is our #1 priority. Public-private partnerships. The sale and redevelopment of Balboa Village Theater is one example of the efforts by the city to cooperate with the private sector on shared goals and projects. We have also moved to secure private support for key city cultural programs, with one of the year's major highlights, the Pacific Symphony performance held on the Civic Green outside here last summer, with over, I think, 5,000 people attended. Many thanks to our City Arts Commission and many private donations. I'm pleased we've been busy this year, and the 7 members of the City Council have made a lot of progress on many fronts. I want to thank my fellow council members, Mayor Pro Tem Kevin Muldoon, Keith Curry, Duffy Duffield, Scott Piotr, Tony Petros, and Ed Selich for their hard work and diligence on behalf of our city. Before we hear shortly from our 3 outgoing council members, Ed Selich, Keith Curry, and Tony Petros, I want to personally thank each of you for your collected decades of service to our city and your leadership in our community. And I spend a moment with each of you. Councilmember Petros, you packed a lot into your 4-year term. We value your transportation planning and engineering expertise and your vision for the continued improvement of the west side of town. You've been a driving force in championing the development of new parks, including Sunset Ridge and Sunset View, bringing our bike master plan to fruition, and advocating Newport Beach's interest to the FAA and your colleagues at John Wayne Airport. Councilmember Curry, in your nearly 11 years on the council, including 2 terms as mayor, your knowledge of public finance and financial planning helped shape policies and practices to keep the city fiscally strong through good times and bad. Your leadership on pension reform, improving technology, creating parks and public spaces, and arts and cultural improvements, including work with the U.S. Conference of Mayors, has made the community a leader in all of these areas. Councilmember Selich, you've been part of this organization for more than 20 years, serving on the Planning Commission and then the City Council, and as mayor 3 times. You've been a steadfast supporter of our business community, our residents' quality of life, and this organization. From the general plan to the local coastal program, your signature achievement, we've benefited greatly from your leadership and knowledge of local government, land development, and urban planning. And a personal thank you for your wise counsel and support of me this last 2 years. And above all, thank you to the people of Newport Whoops, I skipped. No, that's right. Thank you to the great people of Newport Beach for your support, suggestions, passion, and caring for our city. Last week, I held my 16th town hall. Once again, I was reminded of the benefit of regular conversation and listening to thoughtful insights from our residents. We may not always agree, to be sure, but I believe listening to all points of view makes for a better informed decisions, and I am grateful to everyone who has shared their thoughts and opinions. And in fact, I informally in my head counted up the number of people who have attended my town halls over the last 2 years, and it's probably been over 2,000 people. So I'm very grateful for the interest and the exchange of ideas that I've shared with, and the residents have shared with me over these last 2 years. And it's been a great honor and privilege to serve as your mayor this year. Now, I'll go back. Thank you also to incoming council members Brad Avery, Jeff Herdman, and Will O'Neill for their commitment of time and talent to carrying on the important work of the council on behalf of their fellow citizens. A big welcome to all of you. And I'm grateful too to our professional and dedicated city staff who take the council's decisions and directives and make them happen for the citizens of Newport Beach. Thank you for all you do. Now let me get back to the order of things. Presentation of gifts to outgoing council members. So this is where I will stand up. Now, Mr. Kiff, I think you're on next.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. I wanted to make a statement briefly on behalf of the staff, and I wanted to tell you something that you probably didn't know about our retiring city council members. There is no better researcher in the room than Ed Selich. I had to warn our staff early on that if you were working on a project important to Ed, beware. There's no equivocating. You can't do partial research like, this is done in other cities. If you found 25 cities that do something, Ed will find number 26 and number 27. Then he'll find the 15 cities that decided not to do it and why. He'll figure out the issue backwards and forwards and call you on it, but still very nicely because that's who Ed is. There is a parental relationship between the staff and the council, and I hope that's no secret to you, but when it comes to Mr. Petros is comfortable at the kids' table. And this is in part because of his real job. In his real job, he works as staff to cities, counties, and other agencies. He knows what it's like to be a staff member. He's helped to stay late to put away chairs, arrived early to help set up, worn a silly hairnet, and slopped out stuffing and gravy as we serve food at Oasis, something that the mayor's going to join us with. And that part of him forever endears him to the staff. Mr. Curry, never one to shrink from debate, still has a remarkable skill for bringing people together. In 2010-11, when our labor relations were probably as bad as they had ever been, Keith focused on getting back into a more civil state. So he hosted us all for breakfast with Pamela at his home on a Saturday. There were labor representatives, the 3 council members in charge of negotiations, and me. It set the tone for a few months of challenging but productive negotiations where Keith focused clearly on the goals. And those achievements and that tone still help us today. So on behalf of the staff, we will miss each one of you. We thank you and wish you the very best in your post-council lives.
And now I ask each of you, you would like to make some comments. Which one would like to go first? Mr. Petros?
I do not have a prepared speech. I never have, as I sat up here, offered any comments to you that weren't extemporaneous. They weren't my reaction to agenda items or issues that are before you. And that's on purpose. I want you to know that when I speak to you, I speak in truth. That when I speak to you, I speak from the heart. That I speak honestly. I remember more than 50 years ago, my mom taking me to Mother's Beach. I remember those days sitting on the bay with Mom. I remember the stables at what is now Newport Coast. And who could forget Will Wright's wild blueberry ice cream? I grew up in this area. My mom was the director of nurses at Hoag Hospital's mental health unit. My father was a police officer and later became a marshal. I have deep, deep roots here. So when I had the opportunity to actually become a representative of this city, I took it. I took it full force. I have a deep and abiding love for the community of Newport Beach and for all of you. It's funny, Steve Rosansky, when he left, I was shocked that he started to tear up as he was making his comments, and now I know why. Now I understand that. I could sit here and regale you with all of the things that I've done and all of the projects that we've accomplished and everything that's behind us, but you know that. And really, ultimately, that's meaningless. That is truly meaningless. What has been meaningful is my relationship with you. When you have come up to me when you've come up to me and you've given me a hug, when you've come up to me and embraced me and shaken my hand, when maybe we didn't see eye to eye on something, but you still remarked that at least you understood where I was coming from. That is the glue that defines a community, and that's what's important. I remark that I am most impressed by representative government, and I hope to God that every one of you believes that I have represented the best for Newport Beach. I have been back in touch with you within 24 hours. If you had something to bring to my attention, I was there for you in 24 hours. If you wanted to meet with me, I never turned anybody down for a cup of coffee. It didn't matter. It simply didn't matter. That, to me, is the most important thing about what we're called to be American. We are of the same. We have that American standard and that American pride, and that is what I am most proud of. Newport Beach is a wonderful community. I have spent 4 years listening to many of you try and tell me that it's not, that we've got too much congestion, too much pollution, too many people on the beach, whatever it may be. But let me tell you, Newport Beach is the crown jewel in Orange County. I firmly believe that. Not only because of all the wonderful things that we have, the assets here, but again, because of you. Because of you. I am honored to have served as your city councilman. I am not going far. My lovely wife, Kristen, who's in the audience, and I are still residents over on Holly Lane. And as I tried to remark to the reporter in the last bit of interview that I had, I will be running. I will be swimming, and in fact, tomorrow morning, I will be riding. If you want to get out and swim in our beautiful oceans, if you want to go trail run out in our beautiful hills, or you want to ride around this wonderful town, you call me. I'll be around, and thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you, by the way, for your gracious comments tonight and for your leadership this year, and I wish you the best as you continue on the council. We're going to show a slideshow here in a minute that, while I'm talking, that sort of goes through all of the various accomplishments that, they're not my accomplishments, they're the accomplishments of the City Council collectively for the past decade, and they're things that I know all of us are very, very proud of. So I'm going to talk about some other things. First, I'm looking forward tomorrow to getting up and waking up and being the guy that used to be Keith Curry and being in private life again. And because I never get to say this when he's here, let me just talk about my friend Matt Harper for just a moment to say you really learn something about a guy when you run against him. And Matt was nothing but honorable. He ran a tremendously good campaign, He beat me like a drum, and he's doing a great job for us in Sacramento, and I truly appreciate the job he's doing for us. Thank you, Matt. Tonight is the time that we say thank you to the residents of Newport Beach for the very high honor of being a member of your city council for almost 11 years. It's also a time for us to recognize and say thank you to our great staff, led by Dave Kiff, who has accomplished so much over the past decade. As I have said, the best decision we made as a city council was to select Dave Kiff as our city manager. During my time on the council, in addition to my colleagues here, I have been blessed to serve with a gifted group of council members, including Ed Selich and Mike Henn, Rush Hill, Nancy Gardner, Leslie Daigle, Steve Rosansky, of course, Tony Petros, and Don Webb, who's here tonight. They were not only good colleagues, but good friends, and they share fully in all of the accomplishments of the City Council you see displayed here. In the past decade, I have been privileged to work with hundreds of residents on projects such as Oasis, Relay for Life, honoring the 1-1 Marines, the Film Festival, Sister Cities, Restaurant Week, the Boat Parade, the Christmas Walk, Public Art, and youth sports. Each of you have become a friend, and I value what we've done together. Let me acknowledge the role that my wife, Pamela, played as a dedicated supporter of all of my council activities, as a precinct walker, and a partner in everything that we've done together for our city. People ask me, what are you most proud of? And while I'm very proud of our management innovations and the new projects, two specific things come to mind. First, when I was appointed in 2006, I had to run immediately, and not surprisingly, many in the city did not know or support me. But in the following year, along with that, I took a stand to preserve the plan for a public park on this site and to put the City Hall not far from here. Now, old-timers will recall that we said this would be a more expensive site to build on. While the voters did not agree, many who did not support me in that first campaign became my strongest supporters in the second. They were key to my victory, and I want you to know, going back all the way to 2008, how very much important that was to me and how much I appreciate and remember each of you. Secondly, for the past 6 months or so, invariably 4 or 5 times a week, somebody, usually a stranger, will walk up and say thank you for your service and for making the fight there week after week on the council. This happened no matter where we are. It's happened in neighboring cities, and I want each of you to know how much your words of encouragement have meant to me. Now, when you're on the council for the better part of a decade, the city becomes like a family. And in closing, I'd like us to remember 4 members of our family who are no longer with us. Marion Bergeson was a friend, a mentor, and example to me of what a public servant should be. I valued her support in all of my campaigns, and we will miss her leadership in the community. Bob Shelton was an active voice of wisdom who followed the council closely and whose advice and counsel I always welcomed. When Bob had an issue, he would call and make an appointment, and when he did, you knew that issue was important. Jan Vandersloot was one of those folks who did not support me initially, and we often disagreed. But Jan took the time to educate me about the value of Newport Center Park and the Orange County River Park, and we found common ground on some big issues. Jan is one of those whose support I was proud to have in my second campaign. And Dolores Otting was my opponent in my first 2 elections, and had she won, and had she lived, it would be her here tonight bidding you farewell. Dolores and I didn't agree on much, but no one ever doubted her commitment to our city or her fearlessness in speaking out for what she thought was right. She was a community activist in the very best sense of the word, and I hope Dolores would have been proud of some of the stands I've taken the last couple of years. Newport Beach is a great city, and I wish the continuing council members and the new members all the best as they continue to address the issues before us in the future. On behalf of Pamela and myself, let me close by simply saying thank you, and God bless Newport Beach.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I'm going to take a little bit different approach. I do have a prepared speech. Unlike Tony, I need to organize my thoughts, and I'll probably take a little bit longer because after 21 and a half years, I'm just going to do it. Take you down a trip memory lane along the way here, but in January of 1995, I responded to an ad in the Daily Pilot that the city was looking for planning commission applicants. I thought it would be nice to serve one term as a planning commissioner and use my urban planning and development experience and education to benefit my community. I responded to the ad, but I was not appointed. But I must have impressed someone because in March of '95, I was appointed to the city's Economic Development Committee. And then in June of 1995, there was an unexpected vacancy on the Planning Commission, and that time I was successfully appointed to the commission. Then on, in June 2005, after 10 years, when I was turned out on the Planning Commission, I was appointed to the City Council when there again was an unexpected vacancy. In fact, Steve Bromberg, my predecessor, sitting in the front row there, who gave me a lot of advice, good advice when I got appointed to the City Council. So I had my last Planning Commission meeting that June and first City Council meeting in July. Without interruption, I went from the Planning Commission to the City Council. Little did I know, almost 22 years ago, that a 2-year appointment would turn into 21 and a half years of service to the community. I have thoroughly enjoyed the experience and have many fond memories of both the Planning Commission and City Council. My time on the Planning Commission was marked by such notable milestones that many of you may remember, such as a rewrite of the zoning code, the Fletcher Jones Mercedes dealership agreement, the Dunes Hotel, the Conexon office tower approval and referendum, modifications to the traffic phasing ordinance, the Marina Park Hotel site referendum, and the Green Light Initiative, to name a few. Dave and Keith have shown the list of our accomplishments over the years, so I don't need to elaborate on that. But after the 2006 election, I dubbed the new City Council the Dream Team, and I'm extremely proud of the accomplishments we did from 2006 to 2014. It was an exciting 8-year period where much was accomplished, arguably more than any other period in city history, 8-year period anyway, in city history. I'm particularly proud of the Civic Center. I was one of the council members, as with Keith, who were initially opposed to locating the City Hall here. However, when the voters spoke on Measure B, I stepped up as mayor at that time and was instrumental in setting up a process that had maximum community input to the facility we have here today. Those late to the party may not like the Civic Center for one reason or another, but it is what the community wanted. It has become a symbol of our city and a community gathering place that gets used more and more all the time. It will be here long after the critics are gone and the price tag is long forgotten. On the other end of the scale, I am equally proud of the Corona Del Mar Pocket Park. It's a tiny but important part of the Corona Del Mar vision plan to make the Corona Del Mar Business District a pedestrian-friendly area. Now, great cities are known for their public spaces. Think of any city that comes to your mind and imagine it without its boulevards, its parks, its open spaces, waterways, and public buildings. The price tags of those facilities are long forgotten, but their legacies endures. It is my hope that we will continue to build and improve upon our public spaces. That will provide tangible and intangible value to our quality of life. The part of my job that I enjoyed most, however, as a city council member was interacting with the residents of our city. I took great joy in responding to resident and business owners' requests for assistance. I always tried to respond the same day. I never promised that I could solve their problem, but that I would try and they would get a clear answer from me. Most of the time I was able to deliver good news. In the few instances I could not, they received an understandable answer as to why I could not. From dog and cat doo-doo on Balboa Island beaches to major civic center issues, I responded to all of them. The great side benefit of this is that I was able to meet so many people and become so good friends with so many of them. Aside from dealing with problems, I have been fortunate to make many friends in the community through community involvement on everything from major land use and development issues to minor issues affecting neighborhoods and a few residences. Accomplished all of this was done by the City Council in the years I served, and was a result of teamwork among many. And I would like to thank them because they made me a better City Council member. I'd like to thank all 15 council members I have served with. I won't name them all, but that's quite a list, 15 separate individuals up here that I served with, and they all in their own ways helped me do a better job as a City Council member. And of course, I want to thank Dave Kiff. I was mayor when Dave was selected to replace Homer Blue Dow. I got to give him the news. I went to him and I told him, I said, I have good news and I have bad news for you, Dave. I said, the good news is you got the job. Dave looked at me confused and he asked me, he says, well, what's the bad news? And I says, well, Dave, I says, the bad news is you got the job. Remember that, Dave? Being city manager is a tough job, trying to serve 7 strong-minded council members, a demanding community, and at the same time managing 700 to 800 employees. Dave has done a remarkable job, always even-handed, thoughtful, professional, and ethical. In my day job, I have interacted with city managers all over California. I can say that Dave is the finest I have ever run across, and the city is fortunate to have him at the helm. Despite what some may think, he never ran his own agenda. He did his best to follow city council direction, even when the direction may not have been all that clear. The rest of our staff is the best. I started my career in Huntington Beach as a municipal employee, so I may have a better perspective on public employment than many others do. And I should also mention that Dave has a great support staff in the city manager's office that helps the city council on many matters. We also have a competent legal staff. Aaron Harp and his staff provide the best balance of in-house and outside legal services. They give the council, our boards and commissions, and city staff excellent legal advice and services. Sometimes we may not like the legal advice, Aaron, but we are appreciative that you do it, and we're happy that you make sure that we don't put the city unduly at risk. City Clerk Leilani Brown and her staff do a great job managing the city records in the election process. Although there was some controversy in the last election, Leilani and her staff do an outstanding and impartial job in administering their clerk and election duties. Thank you, Leilani. Kim Brandt and the community development staff have made great progress improving the review and processing of applications, as well as building plan check and inspections. They also manage the long-term planning of our city and do a terrific job interpreting our general plan. And they work really hard at meeting deadlines and other community development departments can't even come close to. So thanks, Kim. You do a great job. Now, Dave Webb and the Public Works staff also do great work on bringing our projects in on time and under budget and managing our infrastructure. They've done a terrific job in reaching out to the community on the planning and construction of public works projects and have done their best to minimize inconvenience to residents and businesses. They work really hard and are proud of their accomplishments. Also in Public Works, we have our Harbor Resources Group, Chris Miller and his staff, and they've made major contributions in managing our harbor. Managing the logistics of the major dredging project we had a few years ago was a major accomplishment that they should all be proud of. Now, Laura Detweiler and the Parks Department and Senior Services staff do a remarkable job. The number of programs available to our residents is unbelievable. The services that the employees provide is amazing. They always have a smile on their face and project an infectious enjoyment of their jobs. Our OASIS staff also does a fabulous job managing OASIS and making it one of the most premier senior facilities in the country. Tim Heatherton and the library staff provide the intellectual stimulus we all need. From reading programs for kids to their literacy programs to all the other library programs and functions they provide, they define the epitome of a modern library to the point that it is the most visited facility in the city next to our beach. Now, Dan, I can never pronounce your last name, and I think you need to come up with the stage name or something. But Dan M. and our finance staff do a terrific job of managing the city finances. From budgets to paying bills to financial planning, they cover all aspects of our financial situation. They give us professional advice and opinions, which, even though we may not sometimes like to hear, are necessary to keep our city on a sound financial footing. We also have our human resources staff. Barbara Salvini and her staff do a terrific job in keeping us up to speed on all the things we need to do to be current in all of our human resource activities. And I have to say that the unsung heroes in our city are Mike Pisani and the MOD staff, and they just do a terrific job. In addition to routine maintenance and emergencies, they get out and respond to our residents' requests for service in an unbelievable way. I remember one time I had a complaint about a pothole in Irvine Terrace. I called the complaint in. About an hour later, I was driving by the pothole on the way to the Civic Center, and it was already filled. Where else can you get service like that? George Murdoch and the utility staff, they do a great job maintaining our utilities. They've had their challenges over the last year with the drought. And one thing to remember is they also protect the safety of our water supply, something that we don't think about, but really is important in today's world. And of course, the sung heroes in our government, our local government, are the first responders. Chief Scott Poster and our fire department are second to none. Most of their calls are for paramedic services, and I think we all feel better knowing that if we have an unexpected emergency, they will be there. Although fires are few, when they do happen, We want to have the best respond, and we have that. We also have our lifeguards, those that may have thought that it was just a glamorous job sitting on the beach and looking at pretty girls, who were awakened when Ben Carlson lost his life performing his duty. It reminded us that the ocean can be a dangerous place and that these men and women put their lives at risk for us. And I know that we all sleep better at night knowing that our Chief John Lewis and our police department are out there protecting us and our families. Due to their efforts, we have one of the lowest crime rates around. They always are courteous and professional in the execution of their duties. And being a police officer is not an easy job these days with the anti-police sentiment in many cities. And although that sentiment doesn't exist in Newport Beach, there is always the risk that someone will act out, as has been done elsewhere in this country. We owe our police officers a debt of gratitude for putting themselves at risk for us. I thank all of our employees for all that they do, for they have made my job easier and have made me a better councilman. I'd like to thank those that serve in our boards and commissions. They do a lot of the heavy lifting and tee up issues for the city councils to make decisions. Without their screening and making recommendations to us, our job would be much more difficult. Even though we may not always take their recommendations, that does not diminish the value of their work. And then there are the community activists and organizations such as Spawn, Airfare, the Chamber of Commerce, and so on. I want to thank all of you for your involvement. You always made my decisions better, whether I agreed with you or disagreed with you. I have agreed with you on some and disagreed with you on others, but I have always respected your input and seriously considered it in making my decisions. Finally, I want to thank all those that supported me for the City Council. I hope I've lived up to your expectations. I never promised you that you would agree with me on all issues, only that I would objectively analyze the issues and state how I reached my conclusions. One of the most difficult things to do as a City Council member is to figure out what the community really wants and what is best. It is easy to react to those that come to the City Council meetings, write letters and emails, as they are the ones that get the most attention, and they may or may not reflect what the majority really wants. It is more difficult to find out what those that do not communicate to you feel about issues. In that regard, I have been since the time I've been on the City Council, I have tried to reach out to those that do not bombard the City Council with their opinions to find out what they feel about the issues in an attempt to understand what the greater community wants. It's not an easy task. I missed a few, but I think I generally got it pretty right. Lastly, and most importantly, I want to thank my wife, Lynn, for her support. She's sitting right out there in the audience. It's not easy being married to a council member, as many personal things get aside or delayed because of the duties of the job. Lynn has always been there to support me, and I appreciate it. She also has her list of honeydews ready to go, and now I'm not going to have any excuses, so I'm going to have to get them done. I also want to thank my children who could not be here this evening, Adrian and Allie, and my son-in-law Gabe, for their support over all the years. I also want to congratulate my successor, Jeff Herdman. Jeff, I know you're going to do a terrific job. You have my full support all the way through your campaign, and I'm really proud that you have been elected to succeed me. So as I leave the council, I want to say what an honor and privilege it has been to serve this city. I am particularly humbled to have been selected your mayor 3 times, from giving out proclamations to centenarians to inspirational programs at our local schools. It was an opportunity 3 times over to see what a wonderful city we have. It was a great ride. Thanks for the memories.
Beautiful comments. Again, thank you, the 3 of you, for your service to our city. We are better for it. Thank you. All right, we have a few more items left on our agenda. I've just been told Assemblyman Harper has his hardware. Would we like, before we get into the rest of our meeting, if you would like to make your official presentation to our outgoing council members? And we'll go down and have the picture taken down there. So Matt, come back and have your picture taken here. Yeah, pretty nice. All right, now we move into the transition part of our meeting, and we will now certify the general municipal election results. Madam Clerk?
The resolution confirms the results of the 2016 general municipal election as certified by the Orange County Registrar of Voters, and I'm proud to report that Newport Beach's voter turnout was 84.4%.
Wow.
So following the announcement of the vote, Council members Selich, Curry, and Petros are invited to join their families in the audience.
Now, do we have any public?
Was it? I
We have the
move,
vote.
I
Now, do
move
we-
approval.
All right, do we have a second? Do we have any public comments on the election results? Please come forward.
Mayor Dixon and members of the council, my name is Jim Mosier, and I have two comments on this business item. First, when a Newport Beach election was last certified 2 years ago, I noticed that if you looked carefully at the certification resolution where it shows the votes by council district, if you added up the votes reported in the 7 districts, that total did not match the total reported for the city as a whole. That was disturbing because everyone who lives in one of the 7 districts should count as a Newport Beach voter, and no one outside the district should. I don't know if over the last 2 years the county registrar has made some effort to align their voting precincts better with our city district council districts, or if they just fudged the result this time, but I'm pleased to report that in this agenda item this year, the totals at least do seem to add up. The second comment I wanted to make is more serious, and it's to expand on what I said earlier, questioning who should be conducting the business up to this point in these transition meetings. I would like to thank the city clerk for pointing out to us in her written comments the state election code that requires her to certify the election as soon as she receives word from the county registrar, and that requires the council to accept that result no later than the first regular meeting after that. That is important because if an unpopular council was voted out of office, the people would not want them to continue conducting the people's business until they, that old council, decided that they wanted to make way for the new at their pleasure, perhaps a week, a month, a year later. To what the city clerk has pointed out in the state law, I would like to call your attention to Section 400 of our city charter. It says that the term of a city council member shall commence on the date of the city council meeting at which the council receives the certification of the election. December 13th is that date this year, so there is no doubt that the new terms of the new council members have begun on this day. And while the charter is not so clear about the date on which the old terms end, I find nothing in the charter that says we have days on which we have dual representation or overlapping terms. Allowing the old council to continue to make significant decisions on the day that our charter clearly says the new council members have begun their terms seems to me both improper and rather arbitrary. I would hope that in future years the council will return to the simple solution that it adopted in years past, which is that this agenda item, the certification of the election, came at the very beginning of what was otherwise a normal business meeting, and after saying the goodbyes and hellos, the new council and the new council alone conducted the day's business as the voters had empowered them to do. And with that, goodbye to the old and hello to the new. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any other public comments on the certification of the election results? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. We'll call for the vote. Unless anybody, last vote, unless anyone wants to challenge that.
And the motion carries unanimously 7-0.
So with that, we'll give a round of applause and we'll all come down. We'll all come down for a group photograph. So please come forward, Mr. Petros. We're going to do a group photograph. We need to do this for posterity, and then you can join your families. So.
One, two, three. One more. One, two. There we go. Yes.
Are these different that I have? Okay. All right, now we will administer the oath of office. So, Madam Clerk.
This is the time for the administration of the oath of office to the newly elected council members. I'll be calling each council member individually and their families, along with the person who will be administering the oath. First, I'm going to call up Councilmember Jeff Herdman and his family to come forward, along with Orange County Superior Court Judge Stephen D. Bromberg, to administer the oath to Councilmember Herdman.
Ready to take care of the business. That working?
Yes.
Ready to take care of the business that we came here for. Start. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I, Jeff Herdman, solemnly swear or affirm Constitution of the State of California and domestic. Constitution of the State of California. I take this obligation freely. Well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which
Nice when you're having fun.
Next, can I have Councilmember Brad Avery and his family come forward, along with Orange County Superior Court Judge Stephen D. Bromberg, to administer the oath to Councilmember Avery.
Good evening, Brad. And as I had just said to Jeff, I've known Jeff for a long time. You and I have never met before, but I know you have given an incredible amount of service. Ready to go. I, Brad Avery. All enemies.
Just sit down anywhere.
Congratulations.
Oh, you're here. I was just going to call you up. Mr. Avery, do you want, Councilmember Avery, if you'd like to come up and find a seat up here, please.
Okay, last but not least, can I have Councilmember Will O'Neill and his family come forward, along with Chief United States Justice District Judge, let me try that again, sorry, Chief United States District Judge Lawrence J. O'Neill, also known as Will's father, to administer the oath to Councilmember O'Neill.
Oh, how special.
William, I'll just tell you that you have a very large family. Proud of you, not just for what you've accomplished, are your character. I, William Charles O'Neill, solemnly swear that I will defend and I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, that I will well and I will faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. So help me God.
How cute. Yes, all family members, come on up. Okay, now we are
One moment.
proceeding in a moment. Let me just welcome Mr. O'Neill, Councilmember O'Neill. Oh, I dropped that. All right, now we are going to proceed into the election of mayor, and the city council will consider the annual mayoral appointment. Madam Clerk.
This is the time for the election of the mayor. All members of the city council are on an equal basis to nominate and elect. Note that there are 7 mayor and 7 mayor pro tem nameplates have been created for the reorganization process. The same procedure will also be followed for the selection of the mayor pro tem. Nominations do not require a second. They are not debatable, cannot be amended or reconsidered, and a majority vote is required to elect. The motion to close nominations does require a second. It is not debatable, cannot be amended or reconsidered, and requires a 2/3 vote. If there is more than one nomination, the voting will be done by paper ballot, and the results will be read at the conclusion of the balloting. If there is only one nomination, the voting will be done by oral vote. Nominations are now open. Do I hear any nominations?
You have to turn your mic on.
Never done this before.
Yes,
Madam-
Councilmember O'Neill.
Thank you. It is my honor to nominate that Mayor Pro Tem Kevin Muldoon be elevated to the position of Mayor of Newport Beach.
I second that.
I move to close the nomination.
Okay. Is there a second to close?
Second.
All those in favor to close?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Seeing no further nominations, is there a motion? Oh, I've done that. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to provide public comments? Do any council members wish to have any discussions on the nominee? If not, all in favor of Councilmember Muldoon being the next mayor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That was 7-0, so congratulations, Councilmember Muldoon. You are the new mayor for 2016-17. Sorry about that.
Let me get my glasses off. I don't know, is it? All right, let me move my spot here.
I like it. This is the time for the city council to conduct the election of mayor pro tem. Nominations are now open. Do I hear any nominations?
Madam Clerk, I would like to make a motion to nominate Marshall Duffield for mayor pro tem.
And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to close the nominations.
I second that.
Are there any other nominations?
All in favor to close nominations?
Aye.
Any opposed? That was 7-0. Sure.
I say, doesn't the mayor run this part of the meeting?
That's right. Well, it's already a power struggle.
Got to break him in.
Before we close it, any public comments? All right, hearing none. Madam Clerk?
So all in favor of Councilmember Duffield becoming the next mayor pro tem? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Congratulations, Councilmember Duffield. You are the new mayor pro tem.
What? Oh, here we go. It's already starting.
Thank you. Congratulations, Mayor Pro Tem Duffield. The remainder of the council will seat themselves in the remaining seats chosen by seniority. For the positions elected in 2014, the seniority will be chosen alphabetically, with Diane Dixon, Marshall Duffield, keeping the seat as Mayor Pro Tem, myself, and Councilman Piotr choosing their seats at this time.
All right, Diane.
Okay.
That leaves the newest elected council members to choose their seat based on alphabetical order. So Councilmember Avery, followed by Councilmember Herdman, followed by Councilman O'Neill. Please choose your seats.
Okay, now that we are all comfortable, if we can all take a photo near the flags for the new council, that would be wonderful, and then we'll do remarks after.
In tight. Back in the center.
Now I'd like to welcome this opportunity for the new council members to make their remarks, starting first with Council Member Brad Avery.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I look forward to the honor of serving the residents of Newport Beach and working with my fellow council members to help maintain, protect, improve the quality of life in this great beach town of ours. Many of our residents have traveled all over the world, and I have often heard from many of them how glad they were to return home to Newport and how their travels confirm their good fortune at living in one of the best places on earth. I am never far from remembering how lucky we are to be here. Newport is a wonderful city because of the contributions from generations of residents, councils, volunteers, and city staff. As a new council member, I am committed to helping continue this legacy of doing good work on behalf of the residents and businesses. My thanks to Mayor Pro Tem Marshall Duffield and Don Russell for encouraging me, in quotes, to run, and to all my supporters who contributed their good wishes and hard dollars toward my election. All I can say is that I will do my best. I also wish to thank each member of the past City Council who extended to me early on openness, friendship, and some badly needed advice. To my fellow freshmen, Will O'Neill and Jeff Herdman, thank you for your counsel. I look forward to working with you and making our class one to remember, hopefully in a good way. Thank you, Senator John Morlock, for taking the time to come down and just by a little bit miss the swearing in, but I greatly appreciate your effort, and I know it was a tight schedule you had, and it means a lot to me that you got down here. Finally, my greatest appreciation goes to Julie Clevenger, the love of my life, for all your support during this short journey through the mercurial world of local politics. Thank you, sweetheart, for applauding my successes, and most importantly, for gently reminding me of my shortcomings. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Avery. Councilman Herdman.
I want to start off by thanking all of you who are in attendance tonight. I look out in the audience tonight and I see so many people who work so hard to support me, who campaign for me. I'd like to recognize every one of you, but it's getting late and we've been told to keep this kind of brief. Just know that it truly is an honor for me to take a very hard-earned place here tonight and to begin the process of representing you, the people in Newport Beach. It was a very challenging election season, and I am so very proud to have been elected. I consider this, to be quite honest with you, one of my most significant accomplishments, and I owe a large part of it to the encouragement and support of my partner in everything I do, my wife, Sally. We made this decision to do this together, and we are here together tonight sharing in this outstanding achievement. Along with Sally, I had and have a terrific, hardworking family behind me. Would you all stand, please, family? Just stand. I just want you to see some of them. My son couldn't be here tonight. He's varsity basketball coach at Miracosta High School, and they had a game. So, but his beautiful bride is here, Katie. I also want to introduce Terry and Kathy. Would you please stand up? Terry and Kathy, these are colleagues of mine from many, many years ago, and I'm so pleased that you're here this evening. I appreciate it very much. Saddleback Valley Unified School District. And then one very special guy, people have mentors in their life, and this gentleman certainly has been a mentor to me professionally, personally, in raising my kids. Dr. Arnie Berman, would you please stand and be recognized? Are you still here, Arnie? Darn, it went on too long. All right. And then finally, Judge Bromberg, his wife Ronnie. Sally and I want to thank you sincerely for your counsel, your encouragement, and for convincing us that this was the right thing to do for the city of Newport Beach and the people within it. I look forward to establishing an effective working relationship with Mayor Muldoon and my fellow council members. I'm anxious to get to work, and I promise you that I will follow through with my pledge to do the very best job I possibly can. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Herdman. Councilman O'Neill.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations on your new role. I do look forward to serving with you for the sake of the people of Newport Beach in 2017. I start my remarks by saying thank you very much to the people of Newport Beach for putting their faith and trust in me to serve them for the next 4 years. I'd also like to take a moment to say a very special thank you to Councilman Keith Curry, Councilmember Tony Petros, and Councilmember Ed Selich for their years of dedication to the city. And just as important, we recognize the sacrifices made by their wives, Pam, Lynn, and Kristen. And of course, I wouldn't be here without the love and support of my wife, Jenny. Thank you. You are the mom that Aubrey and Sean deserve and the wife I've always hoped for. And I love you so much. And Aubrey and Sean, you have no idea how blessed you are to be raised in this city. You know, modeling public service for you both is one of the reasons that I ran in the first place. And I hope that your characters are shaped by the good that you see in this community. My parents, my sister, and my godfather are here tonight, and they have modeled public service for me for my whole life. And having my dad swear me in is a memory that will be etched in my mind for the rest of my life. You know, I've got more family in this audience and so many friends I'm looking out and seeing, and I know that there are a few of them watching online too. And so to keep my remarks somewhat manageable, let me simply say the following. No one who has ever sat behind this dais got here alone. We stand on the shoulders of giants in our lives, in our community, and in our city's history. We're a city that turned mudflats into bustling islands that millions of people visit every year. We're a city that cultivates neighborhoods where parents raise children who want to return. we will move forward, remembering the old Will Rogers quote that even if you're on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there. Well, I look forward to moving along that right track with my fellow council members, including our newest, Brad Avery and Jeff Herdman. With the assistance of our city staff, so many of you are here tonight, and community leaders, so many of you are here tonight. You all wake up with a sense of purpose to serve the citizens of this great city, and I appreciate that. We are truly a blessed city for which I am eternally grateful, and I am humbled and proud to serve you. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Councilman O'Neill. And before I proceed, Senator Morlock, would you mind saying a couple words?
The taller one.
It's great to be the late senator. I apologize for my lateness. I just went a little bit outside my district to swear in another council member for the city of Laguna Hills. And they're a contract city, so I asked them for Eagle One. I said, you got to give me the helicopter. I'll never make it. So I apologize, Brad.
No problem, John.
I owe you one.
Oh,
So
you do.
I'll put it down 4 years from now to swear you in. And I wish you smooth sailing.
Thank
and I
you.
know I've already seen Ed Selich sneak out. I think the world famous Keith Curry is still here. So, and then I also want to thank Tony Petros. I don't know if Tony's still. Well, I'm with the state, and I'm going to add a room to your house so you can put up one more plaque, one more resolution. But I just want to say congratulations, Jeff, and I'm sorry to be so informal, but Will. It's been great to learn, to just know you over the years, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun. You're on a great city council, and you'll have fun with Scott and Diane. And Kevin, I want to wish you all the best. Duffy, as vice mayor, have fun. Thank you very much.
Are we ready?
Thank you, Senator. I want to thank my colleagues on this dais for placing their trust in me. It is a humbling feeling to serve as the mayor of Newport Beach. I would also like to thank the outgoing council members. Thank you, Councilman Selich, for your leadership in land use and property rights. Councilman Curry, for your leadership in finance and closed session negotiations. And Councilman Petros, for your leadership in city planning and transportation. Knowing, of course, that serving on city council is a serious commitment, I would also like to thank their wives, Lynn, Pamela, and Kristen, for attending endless political events and sacrificing hours with your loved ones for the good of the city. Thank you. Last but not least, thank you, Councilmember Dixon, for your leadership and community outreach over the past year. You have set the bar high. To our newest council members, Brad Avery, Jeff Herdman, Will O'Neill, welcome. I look forward to working with you and accomplishing great things for the benefit of our residents. My goals for the city of Newport Beach have not changed much from when I first took office. I would like to address the most pressing issue of our time, the unfunded pension liability, which now approaches over $300 million. This council must be disciplined in our spending and work to change the trajectory of the projected debt, which likely requires holding off on new facilities and other non-essential capital projects. To protect our city from future debts incurred without a vote of the public, I will be reintroducing the requirement of a popular vote before the city can issue debt. First, as an ordinance to be further studied and analyzed at the Finance Committee, then as a charter amendment to potentially be placed on the ballot in 2018. It is my hope that the residents of Newport Beach will have a say in the issuance of large amounts of debt going forward. Transparency and governance and political reform are issues I believe this council should review as well, without politicizing them before an election. This includes the filming of Planning Commission meetings, which I was previously against, but upon further reflection, believe would be a positive way to engage the community and give the public greater transparency in our planning process. I would also like to address a common concern the residents are impacted with on a daily basis: traffic. Our staff has compiled sufficient data and analytics to traffic patterns, but I would like to see the city implement real-time traffic technology that uses sensors to detect the number and speed of vehicles entering intersections. The adaptive signal technology currently exists for us to alleviate traffic, reduce injury from accidents, and save lives by allowing first responders the ability to override traffic signals without manual programming. Finally, I'd like to end on a lighter and personal note. When we speak about the city of Newport Beach, or any city in America for that matter, I believe it is important to keep in mind that the city is not just a legal entity, a jurisdiction, or a destination on a map, but is a community made up of individuals. To each and every resident in our city, it is the honor of a lifetime to serve as your mayor. I thank you for that opportunity. And to my wife, Heather, thank you for your love and support in this endeavor, and I apologize in advance for all of the long hours I'll be working for the residents of our city. I look forward to working with my colleagues, both old and new, and serving the residents of Newport Beach. Thank you, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year.
Unfun is motion for reconsideration. A motion to reconsider the vote on any action taken by the city council at either this meeting or the previous meeting may be made by only one of the council members who voted with the prevailing side.
See no motions. We are adjourned with final comments from our city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have two adjournments to read to the public. One is for Nathalie Goldstein, a 45-year resident of Corona Del Mar who passed away on November 25th at age 97. Nathalie volunteered at the Oasis Senior Center for more than 3 decades, starting at the very beginning with the Friends of Oasis. Over the years, she served as the Friends membership chair, as secretary to the board, started and ran the gift shop, and was recognized for her 25 years of service with the Oasis lunch program. She also served as a greeter. Nathalie was the Oasis master at teaching Mahjong. She literally taught hundreds of followers. Always visible at every Oasis event, she was honored with the naming of the Nathalie Goldstein Long-Term Service Award. This award is now given to other volunteers. By naming this prestigious award for Nathalie, the Friends of Oasis hope that for all time people would herald and commemorate her conscientious dedication and commitment to those affiliated with Oasis. She was known as Grandma, Mom, Sister, friend to all she met, the Queen of Mahjong, and someone who has long been a gift to Newport community. She will be dearly missed by her family at home, her family at Oasis, and at the city family. The second adjournment is for Robert Shelton. Former city manager, Newport Beach City Council member, and city manager Robert Shelton passed away November 30th at the age of 93. He lived in Corona Del Mar for nearly 6 decades. Born and raised in La Jolla, Bob attended Pomona College and served in the U.S. Navy during World War II. His public employment included jobs with federal, state, county, and city governments. He was city manager here from 1956 to 1961. He also worked in the private sector, including serving as the vice president of Community and Public Affairs at the Irvine Company. Bob was appointed to the council in December '65 and was elected to the city council representing District 7 in April of 1966. He served 1 term. Later in 1992, Governor Wilson appointed Bob to serve on the California Transportation Commission. He was a community volunteer, served on the board of the Corona Del Mar Residents Association for a number of years. He was the Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce Citizen of the Year in 1980. He's survived by his wife Barbara, his children Tom, Peter, and Wendy, 4 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. Services will be private. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We are adjourned.